Alright, so welcome back. It's Belush again. We're back with another replay. This one's actually not from Clan League, it's from Clan Wars. I know. People still play it. I'm not sure who. Apparently these losers. Clan Wars is dead. But somebody decided we were playing it, so we did. Anyway, we're on Lakeville. We're fighting THUGZ. THUGZ is actually a pretty good clan. They've been doing okay recently, I think. Pretty sure they've been doing okay recently. Either way, the most important thing to remember about the start of Lakeville is both in pub matches and in Clan Wars, hug the red line like it's your mother. Note how we were driving in bushes as close to the red line as we can possibly get without driving up a hill. That's because if they have a Batchat that's in a more aggressive position than our Batchat is with Esmo there, they will spot you and you will all die and you will be very sad and lose the Clan Wars game very early on. The most likely position for him to be able to spot us is that center bandit E4, so that's kind of why Esmo's there, and that's why the 50Bs are going to stop here. They're going to be looking for shots into that kind of center bend, and any Batchat that pokes there, we really want to punish him for that. Try and pick up some hit points in return for whatever they're going to do. You saw the 140 start in the center and then rotate back towards the valley. That's just because the valley push takes some time, and so we can have his gun looking for shots across into C7 if we get any lucky lights, just get some more free damage. But pretty much as soon as we see that that's not happening, he's rotating back towards the valley, and he should probably rotate back even if we had spotted tanks there after he got a shot or two in, just to make sure we're not getting pincered. We see a Batchat poking up there at E2, and while it might make sense that seeing tanks in the valley is an indication of them going valley, seeing tanks in the valley, seeing a single Batchat at least in the valley there, is actually an indication to me as a caller that they're not going valley, because usually people won't lead with a single scout if they're going to do a heavy push like that through the valley, because they want it to be a surprise. And so they want you to not know it's coming until there's 15 heavy tanks in your face right in your base. So I'm pretty confident they're not going to do a valley push here, so I'm going to take the city with the 215Bs, try and get some eyes in here. We're going to rotate the Batchat up to the center here. That's just because I'm playing this safe. I want to make sure that they're not camped up somewhere, and I'm going to drive my heavy tanks without support into it. We've got 13 minutes left in the game, so there's plenty of time. And now that the Batchat's in the center, and I'm confident he's going to spot anything that's kind of chilling in the low C8 area, I'm going to actually take the 215Bs and push them up into C0, B0. Basically just clear that out. The 50Bs are going to come in behind us in case this turns into an engagement, which I'm not really expecting, but I want to be prepared for. So they're going to come up to support us from behind. Usually you're going to want to keep 50Bs behind your 215Bs or E5s or E100s, whatever you're using as your heavy tanks. That's basically just because you want them to get 3 or 4 clips off in a game, and getting shot is not a real good way to do that because people will focus them. Now I see that they've not done that, so I'm going to rotate 3 heavy tanks back to base in the basically to protect in case there's a delayed valley push coming out, which you will see people do occasionally. It's not a real great plan, but that's never stopped anybody from trying anything. The rest of the 215Bs, I'm calling for them to rotate down here, and this is actually important, the route that they're taking. They're coming down through the city, and I pinged this out very specifically for them, that they're coming down through the city where they're unspotted, and then we're going to stay low here along the lake, and this is actually the best way to get into the base unspotted. There's only 2 positions that can really spot it. The first is at A2 up on that ridge there with the medium tank, and the second is around B3, usually with a heavily armored tank. They could also spot it if they had something in like A5-6, but at this point I'm fairly comfortable assuming that they're way up in that corner at A1, B1. I'm going to take a pot shot at that E3. It's never going to pen. 215B's gun is good, but it's not that good. Bias playing Conk GC for us this game. He lands a shot on the E3. His tank is actually really, really important to what we're trying to do here. This is a fairly standard Lakeville defense at this point. I know exactly what they're doing. They've got a whole bunch of tanks, and they're turtling up in the A through D and 1 through 2 lines. And basically is all of their tanks as many hit points and big guns as they can, and then they'll keep a couple tanks at A2 to reset the cap. So the way I'm going to beat this is, first of all, we're going to do our best to just RD it out. You see that STB1 position I was talking about earlier is very good for lighting this. But Bio actually took a blind shot earlier and did that 200 damage to him. And it's a fairly RDable position if he plays it wrong. So we're going to try and do some damage to that. We're also going to try and do some damage to the E3 position and any heavy tanks they have up in the A line there. This is really key here. You'll notice that the other three 215Bs are sitting down there in what looks like a useless position, and that's actually because they're just not getting RD'd. In the event that they have like 2 or 3 RD, which is unlikely in this case, but possible, and just regular tanks, can shoot tanks as well. So they're just staying completely unlit there, and letting me do all the lighting so that I'm the only one that could possibly take damage for this, barring, freak blind shots and such. And so we're going to be able to trade usually 1 tank for 1 tank on RD shots, which is usually what you want to do. You don't want to give choices to the enemy RD because they'll take the best shot. You'll notice we've got 2 215Bs in the base. You can't really see them from here actually, but we've got 2 215Bs and the 140 in the base now. That makes any valley push that they try to do pretty ineffective. And here we're just going to wait for Bio's RD shell to come. We've got the grills kind of in G4. I know they're there. I'm just going to wait for them to basically be needed on either side. I don't want to pull them too far out because then they can't defend the base, but I don't want to send them too far back in case they do a hard north push and I need them up in this fight. And you'll see there that I only poked when Bio was loaded, and when I didn't get lit, I knew I was able to move my tank forward. So that's what you're doing with RD. You're forcing them to abandon positions because they'll know they take damage if they sit in them. And this is going to be how you beat this camp, so pay attention to anyone who's struggling to try and beat this. This spot right here, where I just got RD'd, is virtually invincible to anything but that CGC spot and that STB spot. Everything else that pokes is going to take a lot of damage to do it, and so we're going to try and basically just make a bunch of repeat trades here. The STB spot is fairly easily counterable by 215Bs and eventually the grill 15s that are back where Yoda is going to be. And I'm just going to hold down right on that little ridge there. We'll go into sniper mode here. So you can see I'm hull down here. I've got just the edge of my tank on cap, and they've got 20 seconds to reset this. So the pressure is on now. We're going to pull the 215Bs and 140s into this fight and take that shot at the CGC. And he actually shoots his IS-7 in the back. That was actually right there a really big misplay by a droid. I don't know how far out he was. It might actually not have been that big of a misplay, but he really should be doing his best to not get reset there rather than trying to trade. And here you see they have to push forward, and the 50Bs in the back, that's why they're there. They're all clipping now, but they put 4 shells into those guys each. So we actually came out on top of that trade, believe it or not. They pushed all those tanks into 2 of ours, and we came out on top of it. Droid's a bit low, but we've got 2 215Bs and a whole bunch of 50Bs back there. And this E5 comes forward tries to get a free poke on us, and he's really going to pay for that because the 50Bs are back off reload now. So look at all those shells coming into the E5 there, and he goes down. That's why those 50Bs are in that position. Now, here's actually our next big misplay. The 2 215Bs and the 140 push in thinking that they've got an overmatch on the bat jet over there. They do have an overmatch on the bat jet, but they've got an E5, an E100, and a Jagdpanzer E100, an IS-7, an E5, another E100, and that IS-7 and bat jet all pushing in to kill them. So that's actually going to be a huge mistake. I start taking damage from the IS-4s over there. Bio's about to lose his loader to the enemy Conch GC, and he doesn't run a medkit on his Conch GC in favor of food. So he's lost his loader. We've got minute reloads for our RD at this point, and we just lost 3 tanks in the 1-2 line there for basically nothing. Droid goes down here. We probably should have pressured that cap with only 1 tank and kept him back where I am, but his corpse actually turns out to be pretty helpful. There, the 3 tanks in the north are all dead now. Yoda eats a great shot from the Jagdpanzer 100 into his tracks, and hopefully I get the STB out there from his hold down spot. We're hoping we're going to be able to pick that Jagdpanzer up, but he's actually able to back out. And that's part of the reason that 215B push was so disastrous, because now I have to move the Batchat out of the center road here. He has to go back to spot the base, and I'm going to move the grills back to support him as well. Because at this point, they could push forward into our base and cap us out while continuing to reset here in the north, and that would be lost for us. So I have to be down tanks, and I have to rotate tanks out of the fight, where they just really don't have to. If they wanted to take this push in the north, they could now do it and be up 5 tanks. Yoda gets hit from that same CGC spot. That's a really important spot for them, and it's really tricky to play. You saw I had a shot on the CGC earlier, so he was so close to dying right early in the game, and then they would have lost this real handily. Missed some shots on this Jagdpanzer E100 here. I bounce a shot from the IS-4. Can I get the next one? Here you can see I'm playing hull down off that 215B. And I'm going to go down here to the IS-4s right there. Not a whole lot I could do in that situation. But now it's 3-6, and this is really, really not looking good. You can see we've got a Batchat coming over here, and look, CGC just took out a 215B, so let's go ahead and pause it here. Can I pause it here? Yes, there we go. All right, so looking at this map right now, we've got 350Bs in the A line, a 215B at B6, 2 grills, and a Batchat in the valley. Meanwhile, they have all of those heavy tanks tucked up in there, fairly safe, and we have an RD that fires once every minute for the next 2 minutes, and then we absolutely have to push, because after about 2 minutes here, there's no way we're going to be able to kill these tanks. And 2 minutes is really cutting it close, so we need to be firing our guns at 2 minutes. So let's go ahead and see how we play this out here. Esmote's full health, so he's going to look for try and get some lights in here, see what the situation is back here. Right there, the Batchat makes a misplay. He's going to push forward. Tries to get a shot in. Esmote misses the shot on the CGC because he kind of had to snap it off here. But Bio had just taken a shot at the IS-4s, and he's loaded, remember, so, or loadered. So he's reloading for a minute, so that CGC got away with that, unfortunately. That still ended up being a good trade for us. Esmote took about 300 damage in HE from the E100, but he ended up picking up a Batchat kill for it, so now it's 4-7. And they're actually doing a boost over there. That's basically just so they can get better eyes with Esmote. You can see our 50Bs are still in the same position over here. They're basically unlightable over here. They're all still full health, and they've just been firing at those heavy tanks every time they poke. And it's really long range, so it's a hard shot to make, and they bounced a lot of shells this game. But it's really essential that they be. And here we can see Esmote is able to get lights in here. These are actually fairly useless in the grand scheme of things. They're heavy enough that I'm fairly confident they're not going anywhere. They've had plenty of opportunities to leave if they wanted to, and they're clearly able to trade with our Grill 15s as well as they'd like to be. Excuse the switching of cameras there. Right there, Esmote actually picks up a great shot onto the CGC. I'm not sure what he was trying to accomplish by moving around back there, but Esmote really nailed that one, and that's possibly the game-winning shot, because now it's 5-7. We've got the 350Bs here, and there you can see 223. We're at that point where we absolutely have to be moving forward here. We're down 2 tanks at this point, but we have 3 full health 50Bs and a 215B that's actually going to stay back there, and he's going to cover those IS-4s, make sure that they can't poke on the 50Bs for free. And here we go, Jagdpanzer E100. This is really important. Tape gets that shot. 2-minute alarm just went off, so right as we started firing, we get the E3 before the E3 does get off a shot. Unfortunately, E100 lands a shot. Next Jagdpanzer goes down. E100 gets a couple lucky bounces here. Really should be dead by now, but he goes down right there. All right, next E100. He takes a shot from that. Our commander's able to finish him off. Now I call for the 2 grills to fight that IS-7. They should be able to 2-shot him. Esmote lands a miracle shot on the move in the Batchat. The IS-4 picks up the Alaskan and 50B. And Esmote's going to come over here and park behind these IS-4s, try and block him out in the open for Adenil. He does finish off that IS-4. Tape puts his last shot into that IS-4, which is actually really unfortunate for us. But here we go. game practically won at this point. It's 14-9. We turned that around really quickly because we had effective focus fire at the end, and they weren't able to get vision out far enough to punish us for pushing. So yeah, that's how you win Lakeville with 1 minute left. Alright, so post-game stats here. Looks like Major Diarrhea in the 215B was able to do top damage. He was one of those 2-2-15Bs that stayed in the hole down there. Mostly shooting at the IS-4s and the E100s and Yaipens or E100s that were poking on the 215Bs on cap. Next up is Bio. He did get loaded halfway through that game, but he got off 11 shots still. Only one actually hit, but CGC means that he still did 3,000 damage. He did some good work that game. He hit 6 different vehicles. Did 345 tracking damage. Exactly what you would expect from an RD in that situation. I really wish I'd had 2 or some better RNG. Either would have worked out well. Next is me in the 215B. I was on the cap. You saw me. I was just able to do some farming. And here we see the 50Bs. These guys won the game for us. 7 for 25, 9 for 17, and 7 for 21. Yeah. It's kind of what you get when you have 50Bs sniping from that far away at hold down tanks, but they won the game for us, so I guess I can't complain too much. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, let me know. I will make some more. All right, next time.